for today's True Scary Stories, I picked a bunch of stories that I thought were super creepy but shorter, and I'm making a compilation video because you guys told me that you like longer videos on here, and I'm giving the people what they want. So get a glass of wine, a cup of tea, and enjoy the stories. We're gonna call the first submitter Shelly because she didn't tell me if I could use her real name, so that's what we're gonna call her. When Shelly was about 12 or 13, she was sitting in the living room at her dad's ex-girlfriend's house while her dad was actually unfortunately in jail. It was just her and her dad's ex-girlfriend, and they were just sitting on the couch reminiscing about her father and just missing him basically. Where Shelly was sitting, the hallway was behind her dad's ex-girlfriend, not directly behind her. It was off to the side, so she couldn't see down the hallway, she could just see like where the door frame was. As they're talking though, Shelly gets this overwhelming feeling of fear, like she couldn't even breathe. It was heavy. She looks behind her dad's ex-girlfriend and someone is peeking around the hallway door. Just its head though, and this thing makes eye contact with her. She literally felt like someone was strangling her, but she manages to tell her dad's ex-girlfriend to stand up and look behind her. So she looks behind her and she jumps up super fast. She starts freaking out. She runs in the kitchen, she grabs salt, but as she's running in the kitchen and grabbing salt, Shelly is still sitting there frozen, staring at this thing. And wait till I tell you what this thing looked like. As her dad's ex-girlfriend is running into the kitchen, she like watches her run and then she looks back over and the thing is gone. The dad's ex-girlfriend comes back in the room and Shelly is absolutely shaking at this point, and she's like, can you please confirm to me what you just saw? And what her dad's ex-girlfriend tells her terrifies her. She said it was a short, bald man with a huge nose and this huge, sinister grin, just grinning at Shelly. Shelly saw the exact same thing, so her heart drops in her stomach. Because Shelly didn't tell her what she saw, she asked her what she saw so she can confirm that she wasn't going crazy, and they saw the exact same thing. That would thoroughly freak me out. They both said that they never saw it again though, and that was the only time that that ever happened, and she has never told anybody except for me. So what do you guys think of that story? Who do you think that was, and what do you think that was? Drop it in the comments. The submitter's name is Alex, and Alex said that he had been living in this house for 3 years with no paranormal activity. He said that the house was not haunted, but every once in a while something would happen that would be paranormal and super creepy. And this was the scariest thing that had ever happened to him. But one of these times he's with his mom at his mom's house, and he was with his brothers too, but his brothers decided that they wanted to go to his dad's house. We're gonna call his brother C for the story. So as Alex is sitting in the living room, he's just watching TikToks, and he hears his mom say to C, if C doesn't get his shoes on, he's not coming. Then he sees C walk upstairs and then sit in the middle of the stairs. Mind you, Alex is still in the living room, but he can just see him from where he's sitting. He doesn't really think anything of it. Here's the front door closed, so he gets up and he goes to go in the kitchen, which is right next to the living room door, and he could hear his brother still home mumbling something, like sulking underneath his breath. So he calls out to him and he asks him if he wants to watch YouTube with him, but his brother doesn't give him any response. He wanted to go up to him, but he just had this bad feeling that that wasn't a good idea, so he just goes back to the living room and sits back down on the couch. So he tries to call out to him a few more times, and he's ignoring him, and he's like, okay, whatever. When all of a sudden, he sees his mother and all of his brothers, including C, walk through the door. He said that he literally could not believe his eyes because he saw his brother sitting on the stairs. He heard him sulking. He knows he was there, and then he is watching him walk through the door. He had been gone the whole entire time. Woo! What do you guys think about that? That's creepy. What would you do? What would you do? I will be out of that house. Out! Not talking to my brother anymore. Be like, no, 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 no. Next story, we're gonna call the next submitter Rachel. And when Rachel was about 8 years old, her sister was about 3 years old, her family had a barbecue. Well, they decided they wanted to get coloring books, but she had to go to her bedroom for that. So as she's walking to her bedroom, you have to walk through the living room, down the hallway, and her room is straight ahead. So she looks to her right, and she looks into her parents' room, and she sees what looks like a dog. But this dog has horns. So she starts freaking out internally. Then the dog starts walking towards her, just slowly walking towards her. She's freaking out. She runs and grabs her stuff and she runs back to the living room. After she runs back to the living room, she looks back at the doorway and she sees this thing standing on its hind legs, smiling at her. Then she hears it say,
I'm gonna get you and your sister.
But then what happens after that a couple days later is insane, because they're sleeping in their beds and they wake up to something attacking them. Both her and her sister were being attacked. They start screaming for their parents. Their parents come in the room. They have bloody scratch marks and bite marks all over their body. They didn't know what it was at the time, but they later found out something about their house. They found out that it was haunted by 3 demons. One rock demon, I'm not sure what that is. If you guys know what that is, drop it in the comments. One that looked like a dog with horns, the one that they had saw, that was probably the one that was attacking them. And then one that looked like the devil himself. From 2007 to 2017, so 10 years, they were experiencing being attacked by these demons. They were constantly waking up with scratches and bruises all over them, and the rock demon attacked her in her closet. When she was 18 years old, she was grabbing clothes out of her closet, and this thing came up out of nowhere and completely bit a hole right out of her arm. Then it scratched her neck all the way down to her back, just 3 long bloody scratches. They never knew what caused it or what the hell happened, but she believes that it was the rock demon. Like I said, if you guys know what that means, please drop in the comments, because I don't know what a rock demon is. So we're gonna call the next submitter Chelsea. And when Chelsea was 8 years old, she went on vacation to go visit her grandparents. It was winter, they were getting ready for bed, they brushed their teeth and they got ready. She was with her mom, dad, and her sister. She was sleeping with her dad and her older sister was sleeping with her mom. Hours passed and she suddenly woke up facing her dad, and she was feeling really weird. So she turned around, and that's when she saw this tall black figure that looked like a woman. It was at least 6 feet tall. She was in the middle of their beds, just standing there. She was frozen with fear. She said she looked at her, absolutely terrified. Then she looks over at her dad, and then the entity was gone. She said that she knows that this was short, but this was the most terrifying experience she had ever experienced in her life. Can you imagine just waking up and seeing a bigger than 6 foot tall woman just standing there staring at you in the middle of the night? I cannot. The last story really got to me. This one is creepy. So we're going to call this person Heidi because she wants to be anonymous. Since Heidi was really young, she's always been able to like sense and feel energies when she walks into any room. At times she would see things, but it would just be like an outline in the corner of her eye, and then she would look and there would be nothing there. And Holly would always have lucid dreams. Like every single time she dreamt, it would be a lucid dream. If she was not having a dream slash vision, because she would have visions too, then it would actually be really hard for her to wake up. She would be in this deep sleep. Now that was for context. Now to the story. When she was about 4 or 5 years old, she would tell her mom that she was terrified of the dark because there was a dark figure that used to come out of her closet at night. Her mom was a good mom and comforted her and would go check her closet for her. She never saw anything, but she figured if she put a lamp in her room that it would make her feel better. And the lamp that she put on her room was one of those lamps that when you touch it, it gets like dimmer and dimmer. On this night, she tucked her in and she put the lamp setting on the lowest setting so that it was dark enough for her to sleep, but bright enough for her to see like the whole entire room. That night she was in a very deep sleep, but then she woke up in the middle of the night with this terrifying, overwhelming, terrifying feeling. So she decided to open her eyes, and when she opens her eyes, she sees this dark figure with red glowing eyes and this sinister smile floating over her face. She's trying to breathe and she almost can't breathe. It's like this thing is suffocating her. She finally got the strength to scream. It was like lights just shut off in her brain and she completely blacked out. But then get this, her mother, who heard her scream, jumps out of bed to go towards her daughter, and she can't move her legs. Her legs cannot move. So she's having to crawl to her daughter's room without using her legs. She gets to her daughter's room and she cannot find her daughter. And then all of a sudden she hears their dog, who is a chow, just growling in the living room. Her mom goes in the living room to investigate, and she sees her. She sees her daughter half on top of their dog Cody, with Heidi against the front door and the dog growling at something in the air above her. She said this was her first paranormal experience ever, and it will haunt her for her entire life. She said that her mom also cannot explain why she could not move her legs and what the dog was growling at. So it freaked out her mom quite a bit. Imagine not being able to get to your child who is screaming because your legs don't work. Like, that's insane. What do you guys think happened to her mom? Like, what could have possibly caused that? I would love to know what you guys think happened to her mom, because I can't think of anything. Like, that's crazy. Something had to have paralyzed her legs. So you got to have a lot of energy in order to do that as a ghost. At least that's what I've heard. Couple things, guys. First of all, my name is Kaisa. I tell true scary stories on here every single night, so if you like that, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you like my work and you would like to support me, it really helps if you like it. I would appreciate that very much, but only if you like my work. And YouTube, send me your scary stories. I get them all from I need some from you guys. I only had like 2 from you guys. And the last thing, I just want to let you guys know, I am going to be doing a deep dive on some famous cases that are terrifying. My first case is going to be on a case that is the most documented paranormal case in the United States. And it is so scary. I've done so much research. I'm so excited to share it with you guys. But I need you to do 2 things for me. The first one is have a safe night. And what is the second one? Have a spooky night. I love you guys so much. Seriously, I really, 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 really do. I will see you guys in the next one.